With two women directly affected by the court's decision.
Kevin, yes, and the quake we're talking about happened in Prague in November of 2011. Now, it's actually two women that are suing companies. One is suing oil companies drilling in that area for personal injury. The other is suing the same companies for property damage. Tonight, they share their story and why they want the companies to take responsibility.
I feel like we can finally get things rolling.
Relief from what Jennifer Cooper and Sandra Laudra, both Prague residents, call a nightmare.
It was 2011 and it was November, and my son and I had gone to bed.
One of the nights in early November 2011 when three separate quakes, 5.0 magnitude or greater, hit the area.
We were awoke after 2 o'clock in the morning to just this horrid rumbling.
Pictures show what the first quake did to this single mother's home.
It was horrible. All of the brick was gone. The fireplace had fallen off into the yard. We spent every Saturday for 2 years trying to repair and just get it back to where when I pulled in the driveway, my heart didn't sink.
We had a huge pile of bricks.
A heartache Sandra Laudra shares in a different way.
It was just like somebody was up there just throwing rocks off. And I was scared. I was trying to hold my hands up.
Pictures show her injuries.
Whenever I got up, I could feel blood running down my leg.
But after stitches, some therapy, she must now have knee replacement surgery.
I don't want other families to go through what we've been through.
We're going to keep fighting. We're going to fight it all the way. And it's not an easy road. We've made a lot of enemies.
A message they're ready to send to the companies they say are responsible.
I'm one of those people that I'm going to dig down and I'm going to fight my way all the way until it's finished.
Now, we've tried contacting New Dominion of Tulsa and Spess Oil Company of Cleveland, Oklahoma. Neither have returned our calls. They say they cannot comment on pending litigation. Attorneys from both companies argued that the Oklahoma Corporation Commission, not the court system, was the proper venue for damage claims because the commission has sole authority over oil and gas operations. Now, if there's no rehearing, it will be up to a jury to decide who is responsible. Linda? The Sierra Club is now involved. They want big companies like Chesapeake Energy to be good neighbors. They say it doesn't matter. They'll do anything as long as they get them to comply. If you've lived in Oklahoma for even the past month, chances are you felt an earthquake.
They're not getting smaller. They're not going away.
Some barely strong enough to catch on camera. Others have knocked down chimneys, cracked entire homes in half.
For every 1,000 small earthquakes, typically that means there's a higher likelihood for a large earthquake.
An Oklahoma environmentalist group says they've had enough.
We want to bring an end to it. We're filing the notice of intent to let industry know that we feel more needs to be done.
Documents show they plan to file a federal lawsuit against Sandridge, New Dominion, Chesapeake, and Devon Energy.
The goal is to get the earthquakes to stop and put the fear of the Oklahoma residents to rest.
Attorney Scott Pointer has taken up other civil suits related to earthquakes, but this will be the first of its kind.
The industry needs to be a good neighbor to those people, to recognize the harm that they're causing them, to provide them restitution for the damages that they're causing them, and start taking them serious.
The suit wants the companies to take immediate action to help stop the earthquakes, including reducing the amounts of production waste they inject into the ground.
The earthquakes are continuing to grow in strength, and we have a real concern over this.
Now, it is standard practice to give the companies and the EPA a 90-day notice about the lawsuit. Now, the Oklahoma Oil and Gas Association released this statement saying, in part, quote, "These national environmental activist groups are attempting to use federal law to undermine the work of the Oklahoma Corporation Commission. This is nothing more than business as usual for these groups in their attempts to completely destroy the production of oil and natural gas in the United States." Now, we did try reaching out to all of those companies. They all declined to comment. Reporting live near Chesapeake Energy, Leslie Rangel, News Channel 4. Well, Lance, directives like this actually began in March of this year. It's the goal of the Oklahoma Corporation Commission to help stop and reduce the number of earthquakes here in Oklahoma. But for the first time, they're taking legal action against an oil company that refuses to comply.
We still have fires burning. And we're trying to get ahead of those fires, but we're not there yet.
Matt Skinner with the Oklahoma Corporation Commission in an interview back in November.
Now, a year ago, we didn't have all these shut-ins. We didn't have all these things we were doing. And largely we didn't have the knowledge to do them.
But with more knowledge has come more action. In a letter sent out December 2nd, Sandridge, along with other companies including Chesapeake and Eagle Exploration, were ordered to reduce wastewater disposal or shut down their wells altogether. Sandridge refused to shut down 6.
I think it was a really interesting response to a number of directives that the Corporation Commission has given.
Sarah Terry Cobo with the Journal Record has been covering the industry for months.
Sandridge isn't the first one that has protested, but they're the ones that have had the largest effect, the largest impact so far.
She says Sandridge dominates a large area in northern Oklahoma.
They have about 40% of their wells in Alfalfa County, in a 9-mile radius in Alfalfa County, where a lot of these earthquakes have happened, of course.
We tried reaching Sandridge for comment, but like many other oil companies, they've been very tight-lipped on the issue. They're also named in an intent to sue by the Sierra Club in federal court. Perhaps a changing tide for how the state wants to help regulate earthquakes.
It's an indication of what the state's trying to do in order to reduce the number of earthquakes, is do everything that they can to reduce the number of wastewater that goes into these wells.
Now, the Oklahoma Corporation Commission would not comment specifically on the Sandridge Oil Company and their refusal to comply. They say they do have pending litigation. They would, however, confirm that their attorneys are looking into legal action. Reporting live at the Oklahoma Corporation Commission, Leslie Rangel, News Channel 4. That's right, Marianne. We've seen many representatives from the Stillwater area be very vocal about the earthquakes and how to stop them. But it seems that as the earthquakes are getting closer and closer to the metro, like here in Edmond, some people and more people are experiencing the effects of the shaking. So why now?
Why now? Now it's enough. This has been going on for 5 years, and no one is taking this issue seriously.
Richard Morissette, Oklahoma House Rep for District 92, says he's been silent long enough.
Well, this is sort of like, you know, the king has no clothes in the middle of the living room, and everybody's ignoring that fact. At what point are we, the policymakers, going to address this issue and take it seriously?
His reaction comes after 3 major earthquakes originated in Edmond early Tuesday morning near I-35 and Covell.
It's time to take action. I can't imagine what the folks in Edmond went through. If it woke me up in South Oklahoma City, enough's enough.
The Corporation Commission saying they're doing everything they can to help reduce the number of earthquakes. They would not go on camera, but say they are actively working on a response to the latest earthquake activity, and details will be announced as soon as a plan is finalized.
We need to shut these wells down.
Representative Morissette says the state needs to stop dancing around the issue.
Mr. Skinner, if you're watching, let me direct you to the statute. They've got the authority. They've got the power. It's right in statute. It's right here, Corporation Commissioner, Mr. Anthony. And the rest of you on the commission, do something.
The law basically says the Corporation Commission has the power and authority to rule over the oil and gas industry, something they say they are doing based on new data that becomes available from the oil companies.
This is a preventable disaster that our policymakers at 23rd and Lincoln and the Corporation Commission refuse to address because they're afraid politically to act. Fear is driving them instead of doing the next right thing.
Now, according to the Corporation Commission, to date, directives from back in July and March have resulted in more than 200 wells being plugged back. Now, you'll also remember the commission is in a legal battle with Sandridge Energy as they refuse to shut down some of their wells. Of course, we'll continue to follow these stories as more information becomes available. Reporting live in Edmond, Leslie Rangel, News Channel